Okay, we're now going to be looking in this tutorial at how to add another actor, and we're going to add our own actor to the world. So at the moment our game allows us to, let's just add a crab. Our game allows us to control a crab, and as much fun as that is, it'd be better if there was something to do in the game. So we're going to have our crab eat worms, or actually whatever animal you like. Um, One thing to say is every time you hit compile or reset, you notice that it gets rid of your crabs. If you want it to always be on there, what you can do is you can add it and then right click and click save the world. What it'll do is it'll create some code for you in your world that will allow the crab to always be there. So I'm going to close the window that popped up. This time when I hit compile, my crab's always there. So I can run it, compiling again, and my crab's always there. Okay, so we're going to add a new actor and we're going to create him ourselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on actor and we're going to say new subclass. We're going to give the subclass a name and I'm going to call it worm. In Java, naming conventions for things like actors and worlds always have a capital W at the start, or a capital at the start. I'm then going to choose the image for it, and I'm going to choose the worm JPEG. If you wanted to, you could get your own file and import from file. We'll just, for this scenario though, just use the worm JPEG. Click OK. We have a worm. You notice at the moment it's got grey outline around it, so we can't use it until we hit compile. And now I can add some worms. At the moment though, they don't do very much. They're pretty dumb. And when we run, we just seem to run underneath them. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that when I touch one of them, I eat them. So at the moment you can see inside the worm that there's no code. It's literally just the base code to allow it to exist. And what we're going to do is we're going to go inside our crab and we're going to add the code to our crab that will allow us to eat our worm. So what we're going to do is we're going to crab, and underneath where we've done the turning, we're going to say actor worm. What we're then going to say is worm equals get one object at offset. And what I've done so far is actor worm. This is a data type. So at the moment we have our own data type called an actor. Worm is what's known as the name. So I access this actor by calling worm. Here I've said worm equals, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get whatever is at the worm. So get one object at offset is a method that Greenfoot provides. And my offset is going to be 0, 0 because I want my crab to be right on top of him. So I'm going to put 0, comma, 0, comma. And then I'm going to say worm with a capital W dot class. And I'm going to end my statement there. So this is a method. These are my parameters. The one get one object at offset takes in two numbers for the offset of how far away from the crab you want it to be, and this is what you're looking for. So I'm looking for a worm class. I can say worm equals because this method returns something, and if it finds a worm, it returns the worm it finds. So if you notice I've got lots of different worms on my page, each of them will be a different object. So every time I go over one, this will pass me the worm I just went over. If I'm not touching a worm, it will bring back a special value called null. So what I need to do now is I now need to check whether or not I'm touching a worm, and if I am, I need to remove the worm from the world. So to do that, I'm going to use an if statement, and I'm going to say if, open bracket, worm, and this is an exclamation mark equals null. So exclamation equal mark means not equal to. So this says overall, if worm not equal to null. Remember, this is a method that will return a worm if I'm touching it, or it will return null if I'm not touching it. This if statement says if worm not equal to null. So if I'm not equal to null, that must mean I'm touching a worm, which is good news. So I'm going to create the rest of my if statement using my squiggly brackets, and I'm going to say world with a capital W because it's a class name, world, and that's my variable name, equals get world. So this is a method again, and this gets my current world. So it finds all the actors that are in my world. And what I'm then going to do is I'm going to say world dot remove object worm. So I've got a variable called world, and it has a method that I can use called remove object. And I pass it my worm that I'm touching. So remember, this will only get done if I'm touching a worm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile my code. I'm going to compile here. I'm going to add some worms. And now when I run the code, when I go over them, I eat the worms. Oh, let's go over that one properly. There we go. Fun times. Okay, next video I'm going to show how to tidy up your code a little bit.